Skills. Yeah, we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to SkillArbitrage webinar. And today's webinar is all about tech and AI. So we have a special guest with us. She will gonna tell us what is happening in the industry, how Bharat will gonna change with the AI changes and everything that is coming up in the industry. So we have Rimjhim with us, founding partner at Heyo Phones. She's a group CMO at Heop Phones and MyOperator, and she's also a board member at Wise Owl, Spotle.ai, Spotle.ai, and she's also building the Sanghamitra Foundation. We welcome you, ma'am. Thank you for joining us today and ready to just accept our invite and be with us to guide us on this topic.
Thanks, Hina. Thank you for having me, and thanks to Ramanuj also for inviting me to be a part of this event.
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, first of all, we would like to know about your journey from a entrepreneur to building so many businesses, then starting with AI, understanding the industry. We are really eager to know about your journey.
Sure. So, my background is in technology. I studied computer science at Jadavpur University, which, again, one of the top universities in India. And so, I think that education set me up for a career in tech. I started as a software engineer, worked across UK, USA, and Europe for quite a bit of time before moving on to, first I moved on to advertising for a brief period of time. So looked at, digital adoption of digital tech again in advertising, and then turned an entrepreneur. So been an entrepreneur since 2015, and given the background in technology and computer science, it was only natural that I started building products, uh, you know, uh, in the tech field. So one of the, I think so India has very humongous problems to solve, just because of the size that we have. And that's why I said that let's do this as a tech for Bharat thing. And I think the last few years we have really seen a tech revolution, in the sense that this probably started happening, at least, of course every decade brings on its own tech disruption. The tech disruption that I have seen happening, and I think many of us have seen happening in a lifetime, is probably the adoption of the mobile phone. The penetration of mobile phone right now is more than 100%. So per Indian, there is more than one mobile phone handset. And once mobile phone kind of came into us and mobile internet came, so the world opened up for us. So, I think when I became an entrepreneur, the problem that I looked at solving were of large scale problems. And then, how using tech we could solve those problems. So be it at, Spotle.ai, where we used AI to solve the problem of employment and creating more employable people coming out of colleges. Our invention was featured by Nasscom as one of the top, AI powered innovation to come out of India. Or now at Heyo, where we are using tech to disrupt SMB communication, help them manage their customer engagement at the scale of large enterprises. I think there is a lot of good that tech can do. There is a lot of huge amount of, large scale benefits that using tech we can deploy. We have seen government initiatives like UPI really take off, which has given the power of digital payments to the smallest of merchants. Now even my local pani puri wala has a QR code, and I'm so happy because I
Yeah,
don't have to give him cash anymore, and I'm a regular pani
yeah,
puri eater. So this tech at used right, and tech used, uh, used for with the best intentions in mind, can solve problems, can even, like, solve challenges like income inequality, poverty, or creating a more equal world. We've seen that happening with UPI. We've seen that happening with Digital India. We'll probably see some of it happening with ONDC also. Let's see how much it is adopted. Um, I am total believer in the use of tech for creating a more equal world. We're seeing that happen in India, and I think the next 10 years we'll see that happening beyond the urban cities. The so-called startup hubs like a Bangalore and Gurgaon or a Mumbai, and move into smaller towns, smaller villages. Everyone having a smartphone can access the kind of technology or the kind of opportunities that was probably only available in large cities before. So that, I think, is the magic of tech, and that is something that inspires me to keep building in it.
So, ma'am, while building businesses, did you face any problems or struggles with building, especially when it comes to AI, building a business, AI-based business?
So building an AI-based business has couple of complexities. One of course is the period of research. So we researched for almost 2 years before our first product was launched. That's a humongously long time because around that time you probably don't have any income because you're building, right? You're not monetizing it. So one of the
Yeah.
reasons that we see very strong researches coming out of the West and not so much in India is because of the social security or the kind of investment that research gets. So I studied in UK and I know that the kind of research grants or even the kind of investment that a new idea can get. So look at the millions of dollars that OpenAI has raised. So when Sam Altman came to India and said that it is challenging for an Indian company to build that kind of tech, he didn't mean it derogatorily. He sort of meant that is that kind of capital or is that kind of timeline really available, because you'll probably be building for years without seeing any output. So that was one challenge, sustaining ourselves while we're building. Second, of course, getting trained or tech qualified people. So we started building for AI in 2017 when AI was still a new concept. So getting the right engineers with the right skills was definitely a challenge. The idea was great, but executing it needed a lot of right hiring. Third, of course, cost. So AI needs a lot of humongous amount of data to be generated. It needs servers, large servers which have to be computationally very advanced. So that building that infrastructure needs a lot of cost. We did raise initial investment which covered for some of our product building cost, but definitely it was challenging. Cost, manpower, and the fact that it has a long gestation period. You will not be earning an income for maybe 2, 3, 5 years. Are you able to give that much amount of time? So all these are challenges that we have faced.
Okay. And ma'am, how did you overcome these challenges, like especially the hiring and or any other challenges that you just shared?
Right. Right. So, I speak in the context of even HeyoPhone right now, where we are looking at solving, some of the trickiest issues for small businesses or how they engage their customers, helping them sell more, using conversational commerce. So this again is a very, again a very complicated area. Hardly, the work has hardly started happening in India. So the again hiring has been a big challenge here. The way to solve it is to look, probably, I think hiring best works top down. So try finding a co-founder or a partner who absolutely can lead that practice. So I think in all companies that I have worked on or built, we have been fortunate to get the right AI or tech co-founder, uh, or a senior leader who is then able to build the team. You need someone very senior to lead this, because you need someone, a senior technologist to lead this, who can then put his skin in the game. Second, I think what we also did quite a bit was work with students. So again, as a starter, we were pretty low on cash, so we couldn't hire the most costly engineers. So we opened up a lot of we basically opened up a lot of hackathons, and we gave some of our problem statements to students to solve, and we hired them. And we saw that sometimes students from, and it doesn't always have to be hiring for IIT. That those are myths, that the best students are only in IIT. Yes, good students are in IIT, but there are also good students in other colleges, because at the end of the day it's just an exam that they didn't do well in. So if you are so if you give the students a chance, if you look for skills in the right places, you can probably be solving the same problem, without hiring costly engineers. I'm not saying that you do not need senior people, but a couple of senior people, and then try finding the best talents out of campus and hire them through practical challenges, hackathons. Probably will be solving the hiring problem for sure.
So, ma'am, we can also discuss about opportunities for women in the tech industry and AI industry, and for women who wants to be an entrepreneur, just like you.
So I think very gender neutrally. I don't think about being a man or a woman. If you have an idea, I don't think anybody is stopping you. So, and I think technology and digital especially opens up a lot of space for women, because it means that you can virtually work from anywhere. So, especially in a country
Yes,
like India, there has been a lot of mobility problem for women. So, often I was speaking to someone, someone who now stays in Delhi, and she was telling me, and she comes from a very progressive family, how her father didn't want her to go and study in USA because he was very concerned about her safety. But with tech happening, you can probably study at Harvard sitting at your home. That
yeah,
online immersive is becoming a real thing with edtech, for example. So I think that mobility challenge is solved by tech, access challenge is solved by tech. Uh, you still have, yes, you do have investor disparity, and I will not say that is, I will not write that off completely. That women still continue getting less investment, but I think it's basically you take the first step, and the world falls in place. I don't think you I at least do not think that you face very specific challenges because just because of your gender. I don't think people will close doors intentionally on you because you are a female. You might miss some of the networking opportunities, but that is where I think definitely, I think people who have already made it. I mentor a lot of women. I mentor a lot of women in tech who want to build in tech. There are other entrepreneurs, there are other angel investors, etc., who decidedly back those women. Find those people and just get your product out. And I think maybe the gender inhibitions that are there in our mind. I think we need to get rid of it. Be it men or women, men stop judging women based on their gender, and women stop assuming that you're going to victimize us because of your gender. I think often the assumptions are wrong.
yes, yes, exactly. Ma'am, as you're building the Sanghamitra Foundation, what this foundation all about? Is it a tech base? And we are really eager to know about the foundation also.
No, so the foundation is not tech based. It is it's an initiative at promoting mental health and wellness, uh, for maybe techies and urban corporate workers. It has a history, certain sad history. I lost my sister to cerebral hemorrhage 3 years back. She was working in tech in a very large consulting firm, and again, very successful in her career. And so when we spoke to doctor that why it happened to someone as young as her in her 30s, they said it was probably because of stress. So I think, while working in startups or consulting or technology, we do accrue a lot of stress, because at the end of this, all of these are very stressful jobs. We are constantly thinking, your mind is constantly working. So Sanghamitra Foundation is basically something very different. It's not based on tech. It's rather what we have done is we are creating urban spaces where people can come and relax, spend some time with nature. We promote mental health, or even cerebral health awareness camps. We create kind of opportunities for people to spend some time outside of their work. For example, a unique concept that we're working on is just drawing classes for adults, or to just come and paint. So as an adult, as a child, we often used to scribble and doodle, but as once you become an adult, you're tied to the laptop or your mobile, 24 for a large part of every day. We rather say shut down your laptop, shut down your mobile, and come and spend some time outside of it. So it's an initiative for techies. It's not about tech.
Okay, wow. Wow, you're doing so many amazing things. I'm really inspired from the work you're doing, from the businesses you're building. So, you selected this topic, Bharat Tech. So, what you wanted to say from this topic, like what message you wanted to convey to the audience of young entrepreneurs and you know entrepreneurs who wish to start AI based businesses.
I think so the idea of this topic was that India is a country of 1.5 billion plus people, and possibly it's a very very diverse country, in the sense that you have on one end the highest number of billionaires. You also have very low income groups living here. So our GDP is not uniformly distributed. When you're building for a country like this, you're solving challenges for people on the ground. If you're building for India, you have to think about India. You have to think for India, you have to think for Bharat. You have to think you. I mean, often we have seen that entrepreneurs have been caught up in building Me Too startups. A startup which has worked in USA, they've taken the same concept and implemented it in India, and we've often seen them, and we've seen them fail, especially now when the funding winter is going on. Startup without a viable business model is probably failing. And the problem is often also a product market fit or price market fit, because probably the product is not built for keeping a Bharat in mind, or the price is probably not right for here. If you're building tech for India or Bharat, think about something as simple as UPI. So UPI has become so simple. If you probably look at 10 years back and 10 years and standing in 2024, see the adoption of digital payments, and
Yes.
it's because UPI is so simple to use. If it was very complicated technology, probably it couldn't have been adopted by the smallest of merchants or even my pani puri wala. Like I said,
Yeah.
it's so simple. So when you're
So
building
simple.
tech for a country like this, it has to be very simple, it has to be very accessible, and it has to, I believe, in solving large scale problems. So if you're building tech for this country, you will have to think of all of these, you have to think of the market that is here. It's very different from a market in USA or UK, which are more homogeneous. You have a certain degree of literacy, you have a certain degree of education, certain degree of digital sophistication. Here you do not have that. You do not have the uniformity, you do not have the homogeneity. Now, can you then take this into account and build tech and still be profitable? That is again a thing. Can you make profits in India? Again, it's a very price sensitive market. So again, I go back here, I go to the example of not tech companies, but FMCG companies. Think of example like Hindustan Liver. They have, or even a Colgate Palmolive. They are doing business in India. They're doing business in the smallest of villages, and they are profitable. So how they have kind of adapted their pricing models. So a very good innovation, strong innovation that came out of India, for example, is the sachet model. The FMCG giants realized that not everyone can afford a 1 liter shampoo. Put it in a 1 rupee sachet and make huge amount of money. Can we think of the sachet
Mm.
model in tech? We have done that in HeyoPhone. We have priced it at as
Oh,
low as 199 per month. And usually call management for large enterprises cost around 5,000 per month. So you see the difference, right? 25 times. How did we reduce the
mm,
price? We basically broke down the service into smaller and smaller components. We sachetized a very large complex system, managing your customer engagement, put it into smaller modules and package it for small and micro businesses. What so your margin might get squeezed, but you would probably make up in volume. So then
yeah.
you have to understand that, but then it will only work if you have the right product market fit. Otherwise, you will be spending a lot of money on acquiring customers, and then your margins obviously go for a toss. So when building for this tech for this country, you have to be price sensitive. You know that the market is price sensitive. So your customer acquisition cost has to go down. Your distribution channels have to be very solid. Your tech has to be such that it is adopted by the market. You do not have to push it, rather people pull it. So that you're not, trying to sell a product which is made for the US to India, and so you don't have a product. So, you're spending huge amounts on customer acquisition because they don't understand your product in the first place. If you can solve for these challenges, India is probably one of the best and the obviously the fastest growing market. Even in a period when most economies were shrinking, we're still growing. So the opportunities in this country are huge. It's just that we have to be very practical about taking those opportunities.
Exactly. Practical in what sense? Like you just now you just said like in that way, or there are
Yes.
some more tips for. Yeah. So
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 practical in the
if
sense, build something which is relevant for India.
okay. So, ma'am, how this we would like to know more about Heo phones, how it started, how it when it started growing, and what changes you made in your business for its growth, and how did you understand to it that we need to make it very relevant to the Indian population, or is it for the US population also?
No, at this point, it has built for India and it is built for emerging economies like India, where we will soon be expanding to. So here, let me go a little back into the history. So Heyo was started by Ankit. Ankit founded MyOperator in 2013. Uh, So just to explain, I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. So whenever you call a bank, right, you hear like press 1 for English, press 2 for Hindi, to know your balance, press this. So that is called as interactive voice technology. So my operator was a pioneer in this interactive voice technology, but it was being used by large companies like Amazon, Lenskart, IRCTC, etc. Very very larger enterprises, or even a PwC, ENY have all been my operator customers. Now I think Ankit's brainchild was that can we take the same technology, modularize it, and adapt it for SMBs. I had been building Spotle.ai. We had an exit in 2022. I was looking for my next adventure. It is when I joined Ankit, because I was looking for someone to who also had a similar mindset and could own the growth of this growth for Heyo. So this is how Heyo started. We launched in 2023. We raised funding in 2023. um, the journey has been full of ups and downs. I think we are one of the fastest growing apps. We reached 1 million downloads within 3 months of launch. uh, s- Second, I think the adoption by SMBs has been huge. We have definitely faced challenges, like how can we offer service that's while keeping the cost low. How can we still ensure customer satisfaction, and people are happy with us. How can we make sure that the right businesses are getting this service, and uh, and while still maintaining the quality of the service. So those are challenges we are solving on on a everyday basis. And we are looking at adopt at kind of, as I said, we are working on the intersection of generative AI and other advanced technologies to make sure that, but while still keeping the app extremely simple. So that is another challenge that we are solving on a daily basis, because the people who are using it, someone as small as a tomato wala also uses it. Your local salon can use it. Because what Heyo does is it gives you a smart number using which a merchant, say a local business owner, a small agency owner, they can run his entire call and WhatsApp communication. So what I talked about, in IVR or call management for large brands, the same thing is available for smaller brands, along with the power of WhatsApp campaigns, so that he is also able to, drive his revenue. But when you're giving him so many services on a mobile app, how can you still keep it simple so that it can be understood by the smallest of businesses? That is a challenge that we are solving on an everyday basis. So I think uh, this is a huge and interesting challenge to solve. We do see ourselves, scaling to a million plus paid users. We've also, again, another conscious decision we took. You see, a lot of SMB apps in India have failed even after raising huge amounts of funds because they couldn't monetize. And the consensus has been that small businesses do not pay. So we were very certain from day one that we are going to make it a paid app. Even if it's a small amount, people will still pay for it. We'll probably have tiers of pricing, but let people pay for it, because only when people are paying for it, there's a certain value associated with the service. So then, how do you keep it simple? How do you keep it affordable while still having very complicated tech at the background? This is a challenge we are definitely solving every day, and I think we have solved some of the challenges. But of course, this is you realize that entrepreneurship is never about a straight line. It's a recursive cycle that you have to work on. You solve some challenges, you face more challenges going forward. But we are very confident about reaching 1 million plus paid users in the next couple of years, at seeing
Wow.
the kind of growth curve that we have had. And I think I'm more than that, you're right, more than what our ambition is. I'm really happy that we are making technology accessible to the smallest of business owner, to the smallest of seller. Like I said, uh, I keep seeing the businesses which are registering for Heo, keep hearing the testimonials, keep talking to them to understand what is, why do they use Heo. I've seen, hardware sellers use it. I've seen tomato wala use it. I've seen people who cannot speak English or even Hindi, So it's probably a small village in Telangana using it, a small village in somewhere in West Bengal, or a small town somewhere in West Bengal using it. Very different languages, not the English speaking, not necessarily the English speaking urban crowd, but they are all using it, and it is solving the problems for all of them. That is, when we solve problems for the smallest of seller, we are probably solving for the real Bharat, because it's this
Yes.
10 crore India, has 10 crore plus small businesses. And it's these businesses which are powering our economy forward. Startups have made a lot of noise, and of course, hats off to them. but we still constitute a smaller percentage of the economy. The main business of India is still run by the small, medium, and micro businesses. And when you solve a problem for them, I think you're solving a problem for India's economy to grow faster. We're really proud to be making a contribution there.
So, if somebody wants to start a tech business, how much funding an entrepreneur needs? I mean, if
Zero.
I wish to start, really, no, I mean, how they will just start a tech business? They need co-founders and investors also. I mean,
Usually,
I'm just looking for tips
hmm.
for to grow a business, to grow a tech business, especially from an entrepreneur like you.
So, see, why I said zero was initially you should be ready to put in your own capital. No one is going to fund you from day zero unless you have already built a startup like OpenAI and have got a fantastic track record. So you will have to be ready to be put. Also, I think it's not right. If you do not believe in your business idea, if you do not believe that it is going to make money or make profits, and you only are doing it because you think that you can attract investment, then there's something, a fundamental flaw with that idea. It will probably never scale. But if you're putting your team in
Yes.
the skin in the game, you are putting in your own hard-earned money. Probably the co-founder joins you will also contribute a part of that capital. You actually believe in it. The first source of funding is usually friends and family. So look at your alumni network, look at people you have worked with. Through them, try to reach investors, angel investors, or sit incubators or accelerators which are ready to put in an amount of sit fund. But right now, standing in this middle of funding winter, nobody is willing to put an idea without seeing some traction. So have you made at least
Yes.
100 seats? Everyone will ask you, because that then proves a business model, that it's not just a
Yes.
fancy piece of deck or a fancy piece of presentation. You actually are able to execute that
Make.
business in order to make money. So once you start making money, people might put money in them. But before that, it is difficult. If you are willing to go through the trouble of putting in your own money, probably raising some money from friends and family, then only go for it. Otherwise, I wouldn't say that go start a business on the faith. Start a business VCs के भरोसे business start मत करो, खुद के भरोसे start करो.
Yes. So, what any government like do government support tech businesses now? Like, you know.
So there are Startup India loans. Uh, I kind of know quite a few people in Startup India. There are Startup India loans for sure. There are banks which provide SME loans. There are Startup India grants, and there are also grants given by some probably some incubators, accelerators, etc. Not grants. They typically take an equity for that funding. Uh, and I know it is not very easy to get those grants or those loans, because there's a lot of paperwork. There are certain grants even available, because you asked, available to women entrepreneurs. I think there was some yojnas available under the Atal Innovation Scheme. So do go and look up the Startup India site. If you are solving a problem, like I was saying, you're solving a problem. Usually there are grants or funds or even equity-based funding available from the government or bodies associated with the government for people who are solving a problem on ground. So, for example, I'm forgetting the name of the startup. There's this IIT Bombay incubator startup which has got grant from MIT, MEITY, and the Department of Technology from the central government. They are solving the problem of reducing pollution in air. So they have got built a very indigenous air purifier which can solve the pollution level in Indian cities, because we know that that's a humongous problem. Places like Delhi
Then,
literally
yeah.
can't breathable. Yeah. So their innovation can actually help a lot of people on ground. So if you have built an innovation which can have a strong social impact, those kind of innovation are more likely to get government backing. But again, I'd advise that go check out this website of Startup India and see if your innovation falls under one of the categories that they are backing.
Wow. So now, ma'am, what kind, according to, first of all, I really want to know your source of knowledge, like you, source for getting knowledge about entrepreneurship and building businesses, like on day-to-day basis, how you keep yourself motivated.
I think just talk to other entrepreneurs on a daily basis. Talk to as many founders as you can, talk to probably as many investors as you can, talk to as many people working in startups as you can. That is the best source of knowledge. Everything else is very academic. So even if I say, I will definitely say, please do not do any course on entrepreneurship. Nobody can teach you entrepreneurship. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, I'll say that if you have that fire of becoming entrepreneur in you, s- try talking to actually people who have done it, because I think they can give you a lot of practical knowledge. They can give you a lot of practical tips on what they have done, how they have made it, and that I think is the best source of knowledge, motivation, or otherwise to build a business. Talk to the practitioners.
And how the businesses are changing? Like, how do you see the tech future in next 10 years? Where our Bharat, especially, where it's going?
See, I think it's the best time to live in India right now, because we are a growing economy. We are one of the youngest country. Our average age is, I think, below 30, if I'm not wrong. Uh, uh, we have seen innovations like UPI, etc. Totally transformed the digital landscape of this country. I believe that in India we'll see a lot of original research now happening. And that is one area that we are still lacking in. That is where I hope to see the next set of investment happening in. And there are good examples. Like I just spoke about this, about this tech startup which has built a innovation to purify air in your home, for your urban homes. So there are a lot of innovation like that happening out of India's, out of the IITs, or even smaller colleges across India. We see, for example, a strong innovation in space tech. Space tech is one of the more advanced tech, but we are seeing space startups also coming out in India. So I mean, look at shows like Shark Tank. They have made startup a household name. I think that's something that we can be grateful to. A show like, they've brought it to the mainstream. So if you now hang out outside a school, you will hear parents or even students, like students in class 9, 10, talking about startups, which was probably unthought of 5 years back. People were only talking about becoming doctors or engineers. So I definitely think it is the right time to build in India. It is the right time to build for India. The funding situation is a little tight right now, but again, there will see course correction for sure. Entrepreneurs which are solving problems which which are solve real problems for India, who are achieving that product market fit, I think they will stand out in the long run. This will also be a time we'll see a lot of businesses with poor product market fit, etc. die out. But that's what happens in any market. That doesn't mean you shouldn't try. That doesn't mean you shouldn't start up. That just means that you have to focus deeper on getting your product market fit right. Entrepreneurship does bring in a lot of challenges. In India, the challenges are huge because there's a lot of social pressure on us. There's very little social security available here. So I think my only ask from the government would be that, if you really want to encourage entrepreneurship, how can you ensure social security for entrepreneurs? Some colleges, etc., have started doing that. I think BIT, BITS Pilani, if I'm not wrong, they're saying that if you want to opt out of placement, that they will give a stipend for you to fund your student startup. So those kind of initiatives needs to be more centralized, needs to probably come even from the government, so that people are not stigmatized by failure, because at the end of the day you have to fill your stomach, your family is dependent on you. So if you can create a more conducive atmosphere for startups, I think the kind of talent to build companies as large as Google or Microsoft are really here. We have built companies like Flipkart, Zerodha, great examples of made in India companies which are kind of stand out in their own field. So I'm
Yes.
sure that more such companies can emerge. We just need to create the right atmosphere for entrepreneurs.
Any threat you see in coming 10 years or 5 years with tech or AI changes?
See, I think that AI, the way AI is kind of exploding and advancing, we do need a lot of investment in Indian companies to keep up pace, because countries in like Google or OpenAI, etc., are spending huge amounts on research. If we need to also catch up with the research or make sure that we are getting that leveraging the technology to the fullest, we need to invest in AI. And this has to be driven not just by private bodies or entrepreneurs, this also has to be driven by the government in investing in AI research and adopting AI for greater good. So I think investment is going to be a key risk factor. The to the extent to which we are able to deploy investment on the ground and use it for the right research, that will probably decide whether this next decade belongs to us or not.
Wow. Ma'am, and anything else you want to tell our in young entrepreneurs who wish to start their entrepreneurship journey? Any guidelines, any guidance to start the
कोई
business?
गाइडलाइन या ज्ञान नहीं देना चाहती हूँ, मैं बस बोलना चाहती हूँ कि आप ना एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप इसलिए मत करो बिकॉज़ ये कूल है। ये आपके दोस्त कर रहे हैं या उन्होंने ना इंस्टाग्राम में फ़ोटो डाल दिया आई एम एन एंटरप्रेन्योर बोल के। You do it only when you really have a very good idea. You only do it when you know that you are able to put in the sweat and the efforts to, uh, you know, turn that idea into reality. Because having been an entrepreneur, you go through really, really difficult times, and how mentally tough you are, how prepared are you for entrepreneurship will decide whether you are successful or not. Many people give up within the first year because believe me, it's not very easy living without the certainty of a paycheck or all the social certainty that comes by having a steady job. तो आप वो जॉब छोड़ो या आप स्टार्टअप बनाओ ओनली व्हेन यू रियली रियली बिलीव इन योर आइडिया, रियली बिलीव इन योरसेल्फ। मैंने जैसे पहले भी बताया, आप इन्वेस्टर्स या किसी और के भरोसे एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप मत करो। करो तो बस खुद के भरोसे ही करो। एंड दैट मीन्स यू नीड योर बिलीफ इन योरसेल्फ, योर आइडिया एंड योर एबिलिटी टू एग्जीक्यूट इट हैज टू बी रॉक सॉलिड। can you go months without salary and still be building your idea? Are you so passionate about it? वो passion अगर आप में है, वो ability अगर आप में है, then only go for a startup. Don't do it again, because it's the new cool thing to do.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Definitely. Because when you really want to do a business, there's a support from your brain also. There's some chemical release, like your body also supported that. But when you do it for just sake of it, then it's really difficult.
हाँ.
So
Then you will probably fail in 6 months and you will think that it's better that I go and but it's not for me. So do it when you are absolutely certain about it.
So, ma'am, you are always I feel that you are surrounded with the entrepreneurs. You know what entrepreneurs are seeking in the hiring and what difficulty they face mostly. So, according to you, what kind of hiring do entrepreneurs want in their businesses, in their tech businesses? What kind of challenges they face? What kind of hiring they need in their businesses?
So when I hire, I look for people who are entrepreneurial. So when I say entrepreneurial, is someone who is a self-starter. So I still say that I look for people who are able to stand up for their beliefs. Doesn't matter if you are 10 years, 15 years younger than me, or you're 10 years older than me. Either way doesn't matter. You should be able to stand by your conviction. You should be a self-starter. You should be entrepreneurial. So I think our startup is not just built by the founder; it's built by his team members, and probably as much contribution as the founder has in building that, in building your startup. So the team that we hire, and I'm saying I'm looking for a lot of original thinking. Look for being independent and look for ownership. If these qualities are there, I think other skills can still be taught. Maybe some technical skills you lack, it can probably still be made up, but your EQ has to be extremely strong. So we definitely look for EQ. Number one. Second is, as I said, looking for someone who's self-starter, who's able to kind of think on his own feet. And third, I think problem solver. So it's very important that he comes or she comes with the ability to think on the feet and solve problems, not always waiting for directions. Because honestly, when you're running a startup, unlike when you're running a large corporate where there are set guidelines, where there are set structures, where there are set practices, in a startup you cannot afford to have all of that. So if the team is not able to run along with you, is not able to show that kind of an agility, very soon you will see gaps. You will see cracks in the wall coming up. So if you want to work for a startup, like I said, if you want to be a founder, evaluate if are you really cut out to be a founder. If you want to work for a startup, ask yourself, are you cut out to work for a startup or would you rather want to work in a government job or a safer large corporate job, because startup will not give you safety, a startup will not give you a lot of relaxation, but yes, it will give you growth. So if you're spending the first 5 years in your life working for a startup, that's probably the best experience you can get. But again, at the end of the day, the choice is yours. I will only hire you if you tick all those criteria about being super agile, about being a problem solver, about someone who is willing to take risk. So, and I think that's how most entrepreneurs evaluate their teams. So if you're working for a startup, you really need to be ticking all those boxes.
Exactly. So, anything else, ma'am, you would like to share with our audience? Our audience is like age 20 to 30, so they may be on a path to start a entrepreneur journey, or they might have already started. So, anything else from Bharat Tech, our topic, you would like to share with our audience?
And I think I've already shared, quite a bit of my thoughts. I say that if you want to speak to me, kind of my LinkedIn is always open. And entrepreneurship is a very lonely journey. I realized that, we realized that after starting up, that, because you're typically short on money, you'd see your corporate friends earning more than you. You'd probably see a lot of people, some of your friends probably decided to go abroad. You'd have all those FOMO moments, that, oh, my friend is able to sit in Starbucks, but mere paas aaj paisa nahi hai, I can only drink chai. So those moments also come in the life of an entrepreneur. So entrepreneurship, as I said, is a lonely journey. So if you want to speak to me, Hina, if you want to share my LinkedIn profile, etc., with the audience, please feel free to do that.
Yes, definitely. I will post the LinkedIn profile link in the chat box and also in the comment section. So let me see if we have any. Yes, uh, audience has liked our live, and there's no much queries. So there's just hi and hello to you, ma'am. And
All right, where can I see this live? On the YouTube link that you shared, is it?
yes, yes, on Skill Arbitrage channel.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So thank you so much
Thank you,
for
ma'am.
having. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us, and thank you for guiding us about the entrepreneurship and sharing your journey with us. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you once again, Hina, for having me here. Enjoyed talking to you. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye.
Bye.